by His Grace Braj Mohan Prabhuji on Srimad Bhagavatam 4.3.21. Thank you all once again. And Braj Mohan Prabhuji, are you there on the call? Hare Krishna, Braj Mohan Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, we can't hear you.
Hare Krishna, Mataji. Is Prabhuji on the call?
Yes, Mataji, Prabhuji is there, but we cannot hear. I don't know what happened.
Okay, you want to call him and connect him and see if that will make a difference?
He joined through the
Internet?
And
Okay. Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, do you want to disconnect the call and dial in again? Hare Krishna, Prabhuji?
Yeah. No. I think Please wait. You will do.
Okay, Prabhuji, Mataji.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Krishna Hare Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, 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 Hare Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, 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 Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare Rama, Rama Rama.
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare Hare Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare Hare
Hare Ram, Rama Hare.
Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna Hare Hare Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare Hare Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare Hare Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare Hare Ram Hare 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 Ram Hare Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Hare Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare Hare Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare Hare Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare Hare Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare Hare Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare Hare Ram Hare Hare
Hare Krishna. Can devotees hear me?
Yes, Prabhu. Yes, we can hear you. Yes, we can hear you now. Thank you so much, Prabhuji, for giving us class this morning. Dandavat Pranam all to Sri Srila Prabhupada. You can take over the call now, Prabhuji. Thank you so much. Hare Krishna.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 4, Chapter 3, Text number 21. Papacchamanena hridaturindriya samriddhibi purusha buddhi sakshinam akalpa esham adirodumanjasa param param dveshti yata sura harim. Translation: one who is conducted by false ego and thus always distressed, both mentally and sensually, cannot tolerate the opulence of a self-realized person. Being unable to rise to the standard of self-realization, he envies such persons as much as demons envy the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Purport: the real reason for the enmity between Lord Shiva and Daksha is explained here. Daksha was envious of Lord Shiva because of Shiva's high position as an incarnation of a quality of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and because Shiva was directly in contact with the Super Soul and was therefore honored and given a better sitting place than he. There were many other reasons also. Daksha, being materially puffed up, could not tolerate the high position of Lord Shiva. So his anger at Lord Shiva's not standing up in his presence was only the final manifestation of his envy. Lord Shiva is always in meditation and always pursues the Super Soul, as expressed here by the words Purusha Buddhi Sakshinam. The position of one whose intelligence is always absorbed in meditation upon the Supreme Personality of Godhead is very great and cannot be imitated by anyone, especially an ordinary person. When Daksha entered the arena of Yajna, Lord Shiva was in meditation and might not have seen Daksha enter. But Daksha took the opportunity to curse him because Daksha had maintained an envious attitude towards Lord Shiva for a long time. Those who are actually self-realized see every individual body as a temple of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, because the Supreme Personality of Godhead in his Paramatma feature is residing in everyone's body. When one offers respect to the body, it is not to the material body, but to the presence of the Supreme Lord. Thus, one who is always in meditation upon the Supreme Lord is always offering him obeisances. But since Daksha was not very elevated, he thought that obeisances were offered to the material body, and because Lord Shiva did not offer respect to his material body, Daksha became envious. Such persons, being unable to rise to the standard of self-realized souls, like Lord Shiva, are always envious. The example given here is very suitable. Asuras, demons, or atheists are always envious of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. They simply want to kill him. Even in this age, we find some so-called scholars commenting on Bhagavad Gita who are envious of Krishna. When Krishna says, Man mana bhavamad bhakta, Bhagavad Gita 18.65, always think of me, become my devotee and surrender unto me. The so-called scholars comment that it is not to Krishna that we have to surrender. That is envy. The asuras or atheists, the demons, without reason or cause, are envious of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Similarly, instead of offering respect to self-realized persons, foolish men who cannot approach the highest standard of self-realization are always envious, although there is no reason. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjanashalakaya Chakshurummilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Namo Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Pashtaya Bhutale Srimati Bhaktivedanta Swaminiti Namine. Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharini Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. So very grateful for being on this conference call with all the devotees that very sincerely keep in touch with Srimad Bhagavatam through the internet technology. And sorry for the delay because of again some technical glitch. Usually I used to call through Skype, but some issue that it was asking for money. So this particular section of the Bhagavatam is the conversation, is the discussion or the episode between Lord Shiva and Daksha. How Daksha misbehaves with Lord Shiva, and not understanding this position, he actually blasphemes Shiva as being somebody who is not civilized and somebody who stays in the crematorium. He smears ashes all over his body. And because of that offense, then the whole arena was destroyed. And then ultimately, because Sati immolates herself, thinking that with a body that I have heard the blasphemy of a Vaishnava, my husband, how can I be in this body? And she considers her body to be contaminated because she heard this great offense about Lord Shiva from his father. And Lord Shiva kind of guessed this, and therefore he told her not to go. But somehow she got attracted by everybody else that was going, all the other devatas going, and then she said, oh, I also want to go. So today I thought I'll focus, there are many lessons from this particular story, but what the purport is focusing on, I thought I'll focus on that. After Kapila Muni speaks to Devahuti about the three levels of devotional service in the mode of ignorance, in the mode of passion, in the mode of goodness, then these stories come as a example of how somebody who feels not trying to elevate himself and is in particular some mode, how will he affect the society? So this is Daksha's story. Next comes Dhruva's story, and the third one is the Pruthumara's story. So Daksha's story is the example of devotional service in the mode of ignorance, and Dhruvamara's story is in the mode of passion. How if one is in the mode of passion, of course he gets elevated because he now comes to the mode of goodness. And Pruthumara's story is how in the mode of goodness, how does a devotee behave. And very interestingly, almost every canto, every story of the Srimad Bhagavatam has this theme that somebody is misunderstood, and how do they behave when that misunderstanding happens. I'm sure each one of us here who was on the conference class have experienced this, that either we have misunderstood someone or we were misunderstood by somebody else. And sometimes these are small misunderstandings, sometimes these are big misunderstandings. And when these misunderstandings happen, it is those times where our need to prove ourselves to be right also comes out. And the problem with Daksha was that Daksha literally means expert. That he was expert in many things. He was expert in bringing out so many children. That's why he is also known as Prajapati Daksha, because he was so he could populate the universe with his children, with life, living entities. And other than that, he was excellently managing many affairs, many universal management affairs. He was because when you are usually an expert, then you are also given a lot of things to do. Like Infosys chief, he says that usually if I have to get something done, I go to the busiest person in the company, because I know the reason he is busy is because he is expert. He can do many things. He is able to get things done. And I don't go to someone who is lazing around, because it's not that he doesn't have work, but he just is, his character is like that. And same way Daksha was getting so much honor, so much respect, so much appreciation, because he was able to do many things for devatas and for the universal management. And when he starts to become expert, then the tendency comes that this is how things should be done, or this is how bhakti is supposed to be executed. And you start to become stereotyped in your understanding that who is a devotee. A devotee is somebody who does these things, and if he is not doing these particular things which I have been doing or the regular population has been doing, then how can I respect him as being another devotee? And in Daksha's case, he was properly clothed, properly dressed, and taking up so many tasks. And quite contrast to him was Lord Shiva, who, although he is also known as a Devata, of course he is known as Mahadev, he usually doesn't attend any of the cosmic management meetings. Usually all the Devatas are there in the Swargaloka attending all the meetings organized by Indra. But Shiva is most of the times not there. So Daksha might have thought that what kind of devotee is he? A devotee that he doesn't attend any meetings. And not just that, his dress or the place he stays, and what is the service he does? The only thing he does is he just sits all day and chants on his beads. This is not devotional service. This is not how a devotee is. Devotee is somebody who takes up some things to do for Krishna. And yes, he does one thing, that is destruction, that is like the wind-up service. I call it usually the winding up. Usually you all know that one of the most difficult services in any program is winding up, that to keep everything at its place. And sometimes the devotee that is supposed to do winding up, because it is so hectic, such a hectic service, and usually at a time where nobody is around. Setting up, people watch, but winding up, hardly people know. But now I'm here in the Bhakti Center, and when there is services, many people raise their hand for doing different services. But when it comes to winding up, not many hands raised, because usually it's late night, the program ends at 10, 10:30, 11. And then after that they have to clean all the vessels, sweep all the whole floor. It usually goes till 12:31. And because it's late night, nobody is around to help them, and their whole next day gets affected. But Lord Shiva does that thankless task of not just winding up some program here and there, but winding up the whole cosmic universe, putting everything back to the Mahatattva. Mahatattva, if you compare Mahatattva to be like a cupboard where everything is there together, and at the beginning of the day, Brahmaji comes, opens the cupboard and puts everything to run the show. And then Shiva at the end of the day, in the night, he puts everything back into the cupboard. So that is not obviously much observed, or it is not something that is kind of doing something that is in the public eye or of significance, so-called significance, which Daksha was assuming. And therefore, and over that, his daughter Sati fell in love with Shiva, and it was a big insult for him, for such an achiever, to be marrying his daughter to someone else who is not kind of any achiever. In fact, he is a destroyer. Whatever anybody achieves, he destroys it all. So he was not able to adjust to this, that somebody can be a highly exalted devotee in spite of not falling into my definition of what a devotee should do. Now this is say in the initial days, the whole, when Srila Prabhupada was there, the main service that most devotees were doing was book distribution. And the main place where you are staying was in the temples. Therefore, like, I think Urmila Mataji was saying that in 1980s, the definition of a devotee means that you are staying at the temple. And they used to say that devotees, those who are staying in the temple, they are in Vaikunta. Those who are staying close to the temple, which was not much, 80% of the congregation was staying in the temple. Like say, take Chicago, at Chicago temple at one time were housing 200 devotees. New Vrindavan was housing 700 devotees. Or New York, the Henry Street temple was housing another 300 to 400 devotees. And not many were staying outside. And those who are staying close to the temple, they are devotees in the mode of goodness. Those who are staying a bit far were mode of passion, and those who are staying really far from the temple were devotees in the mode of ignorance. So this was the kind of categorization that was made. But now it is all reversed up. uh, I would say hardly 10% of our devotees actually stay in the temple, especially in America. Most of the devotees stay at homes and practice devotion service. So if somebody comes with that same categorization of who is a devotee is somebody who is going from morning to evening on the streets and distributing books. A devotee is somebody who is staying in the temple. And devotee is somebody who gets up morning 3 o'clock and chants his rounds. So if somebody, it's good to have for one's own self some kind of rules and regulations, some model which you follow. But usually we start to, because of that envy factor, we start to put this categorization on somebody else. And we start harboring envy, because as this verse says, that why was Daksha so envious of Shiva? Because he was envying Krishna, who was manifesting through Lord Shiva. And so therefore envy is an all-pervading aspect in the material world. And if there is one thing that is not there in the spiritual world, that is envy. The opposite of envy, which is appreciation, is there in the spiritual world. And therefore, if you write envy, envy is usually ENVY. But if, like, say, all these shorthand forms which devotees use on WhatsApp, it is just letter N and a letter V, envy. And one devotee says, if you have envy, then there is no vacancy in the spiritual world, which is envy. And with this envy, we will not be able to go back to the spiritual world, because spiritual world, everybody is doing variegated types of services. And to be able to appreciate devotees that are doing services which you may not be able to understand or see how is this helping the movement. And therefore, during Gaudiya Math times, there were some brahmacharis who were not willing to go out and collect funds, and instead they wanted to sit and chant in the temple. And some of the leaders of Gaudiya Math were highly disturbed that what is this? This is not what Gaudiya Math is meant for. So they went to Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur and they asked him that Prabhupada, some brahmacharis, they don't want to go out, they just want to chant. So should we remove them from the temple? And Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, he said that chanting is the highest form of service to the Supreme Lord, and if one is willing to do from morning till evening without expecting any kind of respect from anybody else, and happy with whatever simple prasad they get, then I don't mind to have such devotees stay in the temple. And this kind of startled the devotees there. But he said that they have to be sincerely chanting. It's not that they are having mala in their hands and they are roaming all over the place with another hand reading newspaper or doing this or that. You see, sometimes devotees they dedicate their hand into the mala, but they are doing everything else apart from chanting. And that's why one of the misadvantage I would say of becoming devotee is that you become very good expert left-hander, because your right hand is always in your bead bag. You start to do everything, typing emails, sending reply on WhatsApp, or cooking, everything with your left hand. Sometimes even driving, because your hand is in your bead bag. Now that is not what is supposed to be done. And Bhaktisiddhanta Thakur encouraged, if somebody is just willing to sit and chant whole day absorbed in Krishna, he said, this is what we want. And in Japa Reform book by Sasaru Maharaj, a very nice book about Japa, he writes that we are known all over the world as Hare Krishnas, as somebody who chants Hare Krishna. And unfortunately, this chanting of Hare Krishna is not given enough importance by the devotees who are known as the chanters of Hare Krishna. So he said that my main goal in life is if I can become a good chanter of Hare Krishna. Of course, that is not to say that you don't do services. That it only when we interact with devotees and try to do something for Srila Prabhupada's mission, then we know how many anarthas are there. The cleaning up of the heart, although it's an inside job, unless we try to serve and interact with devotees, we are never going to know how much laziness, how much envy, how much distractions we are filled with. We'll always think I am a very nice devotee because there is no test that you are taking up. But when we actually take up tests, interact with devotees, like here, when Daksha came into the assembly, he saw that Shiva was sitting in a better seating place than he was allotted. Say, in a case of of course it was not a theatre. Say you are known to be a very big person and you enter the theatre and the seat that is allotted to you is somewhere in the middle and not a prominent seat. And somebody else who is not known in the devotee circle as somebody great is given the front seat or one of the prominent seats. Obviously you will feel offended. Recently when Radhanath Maharaj's book launch Journey Within was there in Bombay, we had a book launch in which Nitish Bharadwaj, who acted as Lord Krishna in the Mahabharat serial, which most of us had seen in our childhood. So he had come, and we had also called some politicians. So one of the but somehow the team that was supposed to take care of these people was not so active, or once the program begins, once Nitish Bharadwaj started to speak, everybody was enamored to hear Krishna speak. And so one of the politicians came and he sat, and then another person came, another politician, and there was no seat for him to sit. So he got offended, and then we somehow made seat for him and we made him sit, but he was not in the lineup. We were not expecting him, and there were few of the VIPs were invited to on the stage, and this person was not invited because nobody was much aware who is he. Quite influential person in Maharashtra government, but most of us didn't know. And when his name was not called out and he was not invited to the stage to be seated with Maharaj on the dais, so this person felt so offended, he just stormed out of the auditorium, and he was kind of hurling some kind of abuses or curses that I'll make sure you guys will not get Rath Yatra permission or this or that. Just like Daksha here. Daksha came into the assembly, and when he saw that he was not offered better sitting place than Shiva, then he was offended and he started to abuse, offend, thinking that who do you think Shiva you are like this, like that. And it was no fault of Shiva. Shiva was even in such a party atmosphere, usually we have experienced that we may go to some event thinking, okay, till the lecture starts I will chant some rounds, but then we get distracted with socialization. Oh, I have not met this devotee for a long time, I have not met this person, and then we say I can chant later, and we start to talk with devotees and do different things. And here was Shiva. He usually doesn't come out and meet any of the devatas, and he came to a event where there were so many devatas, but he was just satisfied in chanting and remembering Krishna, and not particularly into socializing. And therefore he was just sitting there and just thinking of Krishna and meditating on the super soul. And as in the one of the verses, and also in this purport Prabhupada says that when one offers respect to somebody, we are actually first of all acknowledging the presence of Krishna in that person. That's what Namaste means, that it is not to you but it is to that divine Lord who is present in your heart. I am offering obeisances. And because Lord Shiva was already doing that, from his side, he didn't break any etiquettes. But because Raksha was on a superficial platform, he took offense. And he used those rules that are there, that one should stand up when a guest comes. He used those rules or regulations to take out all his envy, all his frustration against Lord Shiva, because he wasn't fitting his norm. At the same time, he was getting much more respect than what he was getting. So it's an amazing story where a lot of our conditionings are reflected, and we have to be careful in not letting these thoughts come into, first of all, our head. And if we harbor these thoughts of envy, of greed or something, someday or other they will also come onto our tongue, and it will be a very big embarrassment. So we should be careful. And regards to misunderstanding, yes, the whole story from Parikshit Maharaj to here Daksha or Prithu, so many, even Lord Krishna, they were constantly being misunderstood. And how does a devotee deal? Even when Shiva was misunderstood, he was not trying to clarify here. He just got up and he just left. And then there are episodes where Krishna himself, he tries to clarify that I didn't steal the Shamantaka money. So therefore, it requires a lot of maturity in what situation should we stand up to prove ourselves right, that I was not wrong, and in what situations we just vacate that place. We have the extreme example of Shiva's Thakur, who, when he was accused that he was eating all meat and wine and doing all these things, and somebody else had placed all these things, and he in fact calls all the neighbors and says, see, this is what I am doing, although he was not doing it, but because he was so pure, people themselves said, no, you have not done this, it is somebody else who has done it. So it requires a lot of maturity and guidance for us to be able to know when do we actually clarify with someone, when do we not. But all these stories show us that how can the ego just trap us and take us far away from devotional service if we let it be what it is in our conditioned stage. So I'll stop here. I guess we are supposed to go till 8, some from 7:20 a.m. to 8, and see if devotees have any questions or any comments that they would like to make. Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada ki.
Thank you, Prabhuji. You have explained very, very nice, and so many examples also you gave. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.
Krishna Prabhuji, Dandat Pranam, all glories to Srila Prabhupada and Guru Maharaj. Thank you so much, Prabhuji. It's a very, very nice class, especially for the practicing sadhaka. The Prabhuji, I have a question. Means we need to develop the maturity to deal with the devotees. How we can be, that is the things main we need to learn, but how we can be more and more cautious, just like you were telling, even the thought comes and then how we immediately react that thought, because it's natural for me especially. The bad thought come even for everybody, means and then how we can react that thought when it comes, Prabhuji.
Yeah, we're all facing this, and all these issues that come up, they are just reflecting why did we come here to the spiritual world. And the more we chant, the more we serve. Therefore, Rupa Goswami and Jiva Goswami tells this, that if devotees do these two things attentively, they'll go back to Godhead. Attentive chanting and attentive dealings. And both are very well connected. And because if you are attentive to Krishna in your chanting, then when you come to devotees, you will be attentive. And also it works the other way. If you are attentive in your services, in your dealings, then it also helps us to be attentive in chanting. And misunderstanding is a way of being inattentive, not be able to sense what that person is actually going through. And when these happen, when misunderstandings happen, or when thoughts come, one response was like Vidura, seeing that this is Krishna's message for me to not be here anymore, and maybe Krishna wants me to. This is withdrawal, positive withdrawal, where at least mentally you are able to come out of that, not just keep dealing. That also requires great strength to not dwell on that. But the same Vidura who withdrew at one occasion, he also went and confronted Dhritarashtra later, because he saw the time is now right. So therefore, at every moment, what a devotee has to ask is, how can I best serve in this situation? If my spiritual master is watching my thoughts or is watching my actions, will he be pleased if I speak this way, if I do this way? And if that meditation is there, that the spiritual master is always watching us, then we'll never allow these thoughts to harbor too much or the words to come out. But if we are not conscious of that aspect, that my spiritual master is constantly watching me, yes, through Paramatma is Chaitya Guru, then we'll not be careful. So therefore it is important that we, at our stage, we are conscious that if these devotees are there in front of me, whichever devotees, like most children, if they love their parents a lot, then when they are about to commit some bad things, they immediately stop themselves, seeing that, oh, if my mom gets to know, she'll be very sad, so let me not engage, although these things are coming up. Same way, a devotee has to first of all develop deep connection to Prabhupada and his Guru Varga, and according to that, I don't want to displease, it's not for me, but I am a product of all the devotees' hard work and blessings, so I don't want to disappoint them. And with that, a devotee can get direction from the Paramatma, because you are sincerely trying to see how can I best serve in this situation. Okay, Mataji?
Yes, Prabhu, I really like the point. You were telling the chanting, attentive chanting, and attentive dealing. That is very necessary, and also it's only happens if we are connected with our spiritual master, our parampara. Yeah, thank you so much, Prabhuji. I request all the devotees, if they have any question or comment for Prabhuji, they can go ahead. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Very Sarva Pranam, all very practical, wonderful presentations. So naturally flowing from your lotus mouth. So it was very wonderful. You know, Lord Shiva, how he reacts, that shows where we stand, you know.
Yes.
In our devotional practice, we listen to discourses and many wonderful things. We idealize many, many wonderful things. And when it comes to our personal level, then we get the reminding call every now and then, just as Mataji asked the question. When it comes to how we react, that shows where we stand. So it's not harmful to think that we are not that purified or elevated. That's a very good thing to observe. But at the same time, we should not just remain stuck there, and slowly and gradually, as we see our own reaction, analyze our own situation, we should be more appreciative of Lord Shiva's position and more appreciative of other devotees' position. And as you said so wonderfully, that we have to be attentive about devotees. So ultimately we can think of only good things in other devotees, because I myself am stuck with so many other thoughts, and I don't know how deep rooted they are, so that even the thought comes. So now I have been chanting so long, and I have been serving this much, so I must have become purified. That thought is very detrimental, because only when we have the sense of accomplishment or sense of deserving, then all the root still remains there. So that's very, very important. And self-analysis is very, very going to be helpful. Thank you for your presentation.
Thank you, Prabhu. Thank you for throwing light on some of the aspects we discussed. Very important. This story is very important at our stage, because most of us are highly influenced by mode of ignorance, and this is like Shastras, like Prabhupada says, Shastras teach us like a mother-in-law teaches daughter-in-law by telling the daughter instead of directly telling. So Shastras, if Shastra directly tell us, we won't be able to take, but if it's presented in a story format, then this message is well taken, and we learn that this is how I should not behave.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu, Danda Pranam. Please accept my humble obeisances.
So my obeisances.
Prabhu, one question actually. So we are talking about Vaishnava etiquette, and I know, in the daily practical life, we face two situations, right? Material situation versus spiritual situation. But when I say material situation, more like when we are out of our spiritual chanting and all our daily activities, right? We have to go to office, we have to go to friends, we have to talk to a lot of people. So when we kind of talk to them or deal with things in the office, there is a different consciousness that will act because we have to tackle a lot of things, and which is considered, I'm thinking it's material consciousness we kind of play. So but it is the same mind executing the duality right? Different kind of consciousness at work, our friends, versus when we are chanting, when we are attending Bhakti Rikshas and all, right? So how do Vaishnavas address this? Because this is a day-to-day problem that ongoing for them, right? We cannot be treating everyone like Vaishnava even at office or friends, right? So this is I'm ignorant, Prabhuji, but I don't know if I've conveyed the question correctly. But my point is more like why we have the duality between material consciousness and spiritual consciousness.
See, just like we have two existences. We are a soul, but we are currently in the material body, and we have to take care of both of these aspects. And some aspects are separate, like where we take bath. They can be connected to devotion service. We're taking bath or just working, they're not directly devotion service. But when the goal is to utilize the body, to utilize the job or whoever that comes across in devotion service, then it becomes devotion service. Other than that, when you go to the work, now Krishna consciousness or the Vedic, the tattva is not just only in the books or in the devotion circle. You can learn so much from the nature, so much from, if you are properly able to tune in. You, like so many of our devotees, they learn so much about material miseries in our Bombay local trains, because the envy, the ambition, all these are pretty evident. So if you are looking for it, if you are looking to grow in your spiritual life, if you are looking to come closer to Krishna, you'll always be able to find the principles that are explained in the Srimad Bhagavatam being there everywhere. And other than that, like here, Lord Daksha couldn't see that. He was envious because he was seeing that aspect of Krishna, and he was becoming envious. So same way, when we go out, if somebody is highly excelling in something, like Srimat Urjitam Evava, we see that, oh, this is an opulence of Krishna, and how gifted he is with this opulence, and we can appreciate that. And as we are appreciating that, we are not just appreciating that person, we are actually appreciating that ability of Krishna in that person, and that person also becomes highly close to us. Oh, this person actually respects me. And at the same time, you are not falsely glorifying him, because you are genuinely seeing that aspect of Krishna in that person. And when we start to not see Krishna outside of devotion circle, that's when we start to make a separation, and people think that these people are cut off from the society. Yes, we don't intentionally go to parties and try to be, but whatever is our regular affairs, even within that we see that aspect of Krishna, and that how Krishna can be variegated, how Krishna can be wonderful, and that way we cultivate our Krishna consciousness. And this exclusive time with Krishna in the form of chanting, in the form of Bhagavatam, is to allow us to see that everywhere. Like I say, the professor teaches the laws of physics in the classroom from the textbook, so that the student can see the laws of physics working everywhere when he goes outside the classroom. If he only sees the laws of physics only in the classroom, he is not actually learning. But that doesn't mean that the student doesn't go to the classroom. He just roams everywhere and tries to speculate. It is a combined theory and practice. So that way, with these two things, that we appreciate Krishna's presence, Krishna's qualities in them, and also we are seeing that how my role, my study or my job, whatever, how is it connected to Krishna? Okay, Prabhu?
Yeah. Thank you so much, Prabhu. Thank you so much. I got a perspective now. I was more into duality, but I think there is no duality here. We have to be with only one consciousness wherever we are.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
And as I said, how can I best serve in this situation? It's not how can I best impress in this situation. And usually we get into that impressing mode, and then we go away from Krishna. But if I need to put a point across very powerfully, that is the best service I can do. Like Arjuna, we had to fight because that was the best service he could do. But later, then he forgave. He was not holding any grudge towards them. Not that he went on just a careless spree of killing after the battlefield. No. He saw how can I best serve. When Krishna was there, they were ruling because that was the best service. As soon as Krishna left back to the spiritual world, they saw now the best service we can do is to set the right example that devotee is not attached, and they left to the spirit. They also left to the Himalayas. So if one can keep this question always, how can I best serve in this situation? Dev Krishna will surely give us guidance.
Thank you, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Very nice question, Prabhu, and very nice answer. You know, as a sadhaka devotee, so this question should be resolved because we have nothing duality in our consciousness. So that should be properly understood. But those who are not practicing sadhana bhakti, they definitely live in the duality. And because sadhaka bhakti is a preacher, preacher has to interact with the people, those who are not in the path of devotional service. So our consciousness has to be directly or indirectly has to be the same purpose. We are serving the purpose of Guru Gauranga. So even in our interaction and sometimes apparently saying things which appear to be sound to be duality, but our focus is only to help others directly or indirectly. So that way we can stay away from duality.
That's correct, Prabhu. That's what I understood. Thank you so much.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, Dandvat Pranam, all good Srila Prabhupada and Guruji. Thank you very much for your explanation. Hari Hari Bol.
Thank you, Mataji.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, Dandvat Pranam, all good Srila Prabhupada and Guru Maharaj. Very, very wonderful class, Prabhuji, and very, very practical. And very nice examples you gave, envy means no vacancy in the spiritual world is very important for us. And also the thing you said about the chanting, it's very practical. We are becoming experts of working in my left hand and right hand we give for the chanting. It's very practical, Prabhuji.
Yes, we have to be careful not to become expert dakshas of left hand dakshas.
Yes, Prabhuji. I like the point you said about the some CEO or somebody who goes, he wants to do some work and he goes to the busiest person because he is expert. So it is also very important. The person why he is busy because he is expert doing things and he wants to do. Otherwise, if you are lazy and you are not doing anything, means you are always have no work. Yeah,
this we have to apply on ourselves. We should not kind of go out and see, somebody is not doing much, means he is he is lazy or something. It is all this analysis for our own, that we should be busy.
Yeah. Yes. Thank you so much, Prabhuji.
Thank you. Thank you.
Prabhuji, you were saying, giving the examples about Prithu Maharaj and Durvasa Muni and Dhanu Maharaj. So what was that linked to?
I was saying that Kapila Muni, in the previous chapters, he explains devotional service in 3 modes. Devotional service in the mode of goodness, devotion in the mode of passion, devotion in the mode of ignorance. And he explains how those devotees behave or what is their mindset. And these stories of the story of Daksha, story of Dhruva, story of Prithu are elaborations or examples of that. So if you just go back to those chapters and see how does a neophyte Kanishtadhikari society behave, you will see Daksha's story fitting into that. If you go and see how does a Madhyamadhikari society behave, you will see Dhruva Maharaj story fitting into that. And then if you see Prithu Maharaj story, it will fit to the how does devotional service in the mode of goodness is there. So that's what I was explaining.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna, Mataji.
Yes. Regarding this 3 kinds of devotional service, I have a question, Prabhu. And then actually devotional service is actually beyond the 3 modes. And then which situation is transcendental, Prabhu? And how means and in which way means sometimes it's very difficult for us, especially in we're entangled in 3 modes. And then when we can realize this is transcendental. I mean, otherwise we are always in practicing devotional service in 3 modes.
See, when we are doing some devotion service with the blessings and the way scriptures or Guru tells us, then it is transcendental. But the moment within that we start to use our own conditionings, our own things, then it falls into these 3. So there is nothing wrong in that, because only by going through and implementing the principles properly, we'll get elevated. And somehow Krishna doesn't give us a milestone that where exactly we stand. Usually if you are going from one place to another place, you know where you are and how much you need to cover. But devotion service is such a way that the more you progress, the more you think that there is lot of work that needs to be done, because you start to see your anarthas more closely. So therefore devotion service is not a process of just through expertise and sadhana and practice we are going to perfect it. It is essentially a process of mercy. And all our sadhana is only to attract that mercy, because without that kripa, we'll never be able to grow. And whatever service we are doing is only to attract that kripa. So therefore we are conscious that we attract mercy through our service, not repel or not attract curses from Guru and Krishna, Guru and Vaishnavas. Because we are highly dependent and begging for that kripa. Because till that kripa comes, it is impossible for us to come out. And one of the verses which we are reading currently in another section is, it is like somebody trying to cross an ocean by holding the tail of a dog. Dog can swim, but dog cannot cross an ocean. Same way, whatever is our abilities are limited. And it can get us some accomplishments in this world. But if we think, okay, because I've got a job by my expertise, I've got this or that by my expertise, to be able to think that I can achieve Krishna consciousness is a big illusion. It is awarded. It is something that is given to us because of causeless mercy. But we have to do our best to attract that mercy. That is what is sadhana. So therefore, sadhana is what we are doing, and therefore we'll repeatedly keep seeing that, oh, I am far, far away. But it can happen in a moment, or it can happen in lifetimes. And Krishna doesn't follow any protocol. That whom does he give? Now you can't say, oh Krishna, you gave him them at this stage, but you didn't give them. Krishna reserves that right to whom to award, but he is only doing whatever he is doing because keeping our best interest in mind. And devotee is not necessarily worried that when will I get purified, for purifying sake or for going back to Godhead. He is only worried about purified state because in that state he can properly serve Krishna, Guru and Krishna. So he is always anxious for it, but he can't make that happen. Okay?
Prabhu, is for me it's very clear actually. It's even I heard from Prabhupada lecture that Bhakti Yoga means what Guru says you follow. Otherwise, whatever we do, it's like a karma yoga. Even though if we do for Krishna, then you clear now very nicely. Thank you so much, Prabhu.
Thank you.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
One comment can I make?
Sure, Prabhu.
This sadhana bhakta is not in the modes of the three of these. He's transcendental because from the very beginning of devotional services, sadhana bhakta comes on the transcendental platform. So the Kanishta Adhikari, Madhyama Adhikari, they are all transcendental. It is easy to even attend the Kanishta platform. Actually, those who are in the modes, they are sub Kanishta because they are not aware of the ultimate purpose why they are performing apparent devotional service. The aspiration is either a good profit, adoration, or moksha even. Even in the mode of goodness. But the sadhaka bhakta, he aspires only pure love of Godhead. The Kanishta, Madhyama and Uttama, it depends on the transformation of the consciousness and also his observant, as you said, his attentive chanting and how attentive he is to the other devotees. But even Kanishta, he is a pure devotee because he is following the process to attain the pure devotional service. So Mataji's question is very, very, very pertinent. We don't think of devotees in the mode of passion or devotees in the mode of ignorance or like that. Although, because of the residual effect, it appears sometimes. But we must all devotees who are sadhana bhakta to be transcendental.
Yes. Once Srila Prabhupada was asked, Swamiji, how many pure devotees do we have? Prabhupada asked, so how many devotees do we have? Said maybe 300 all over the world. And Prabhupada said, so we have 300 pure devotees.
Wow.
So this is to say that because we are on the path of pure devotional service, one day definitely we will be pure devotees. We'll all be. And any devotee, even karma yoga, dhyana yoga, when is somebody called a karma yogi, if he stops there, if you are on the way to Vrindavan, then although you may be still in London, you will say, I am going to Vrindavan. You're still here. You're still in London or America. But because you are on that path, but say you stop someplace, you stop in Delhi, then you are called a Delhiite. So same way, if the problem happens is after a while, because devotional service awards so many 6 effects, Shubhada, and moksha, lagata, all these effects of bhakti, at times they relieve our miseries and we feel, oh, this is what, and we stop growing. So when we stop growing, then we fall into the moods. But if we are following the pure devotional principles that Acharyas have given, then we'll always be aloof from them.
Beautiful, beautiful. Actually, it's a paradox, Prabhu. Actually, a person on the pure devotional path, our sadhana bhakti, as he really progresses, he genuinely feels how bereft and how impure and how fallen one is.
Yes.
It's a paradox. So the moment that devotee practices your things, that I have become qualified or I have become, because people respect me, people honor me.
Right.
It is a reversal.
Yeah,
we
never feels.
Yeah, we are never allowed to think that we are perfect. Because it is others' observation, but on one's own, one should think that we are far away from that. That way, Krishna has something to do for us. But if we think we have become perfect, then we make Krishna jobless, and that will be very, very. We always hanker for Krishna's inclusion, Krishna's intervention in our life. So unless we hanker for it, if we become saturated with our satisfaction, modes are all-pervading.
Yeah.
So the only way to remain bereft or aloof from the mode is to always consider oneself very, 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 very fallen, impure. Like what that Nautam Das Thakur says, over 30, 40 years, I'm still singing this song, and how much bereft of that. He says that Vishaya Chhadiya Kabe Shuddha Habe Mana.
Right.
Kabe Ame Bhujave Sri Vrindavan. So it's amazing that Nautam Das Thakur is crying out.
Yeah.
Stuck in a Vishaya Sagar. Because why? Because he wants Krishna's special favor. Krishna, please, you are depriving me. So you are depriving because I am so impure. So that's a very good analysis. That I am so impure.
Yeah.
Like Krishna is depriving me.
You have put it very beautifully, Prabhu. That a devotee never feels, because then there always danger of pride, and he always is very careful, and he genuinely feels that.
Same thing Bhaktivinoda Thakur says. He says, Janma sarthak hoy ta Krishna darshan hoy jaat. So until Krishna makes us his choice, his darshan, we haven't got anything yet.
Right.
No matter what we are. So that's a perspective all our stalwart acharyas have given us. No matter where we are situated, we cannot afford to let go of that awareness.
Right. Okay. So I thank all the devotees very much for kindly being here to discuss on Srimad Bhagavatam, and very grateful for the opportunity given to me.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Prabhuji.